angry that he delayed leaving the church until every member of the congregation had shaken the minister's hand at the church door and left. "Good evening, officer. I trust you enjoyed our little service." "No," said Hamish. "There was damn all spiritual comfort. If you want to get into her knickers, keep it outside the church." "I don't know what you are talking about, but you are coarse and rude, and I will report you." "Oh, please do," said Hamish. He crammed his cap on his red hair and walked off. "No, you shouldn't have said that," said Charlie. "Not like you to be vulgar." "I got angry," said Hamish ruefully. "This damn place always upsets me." "I notice you've been a wee bitty on edge lately," said Charlie. "Maybe you're going through what Archie claims is the men's pause. Still too young. You have to be over 40 and get a craving for a leather jacket and a Harley. There's something bad in the air. Well, Handy has invited us for supper. Wish we had someone like him in charge." "Why do you think he really wanted to retire up here?" asked Charlie. "God knows. Mind you, it's had a couple of previous owners who've already done a lot of restoration on the 18th century bit. Besides, it was probably as cheap as chips." Hamish approached the police station cautiously. Here I am, he thought, an officer of the law, wearing a utility belt with taser, spray, and restraints, and I'm scared of one woman. He would not admit guilt was causing the fear. His dogs ran ahead and through the large flap on the door. He stood outside the door. She wouldn't. Would she? Would she have played that trick of balancing a pot of paint so that when he opened the door, it would fall on him? But the door was closed. Where could she balance it? He went in. The kitchen was clean and sparkling. The dogs were lapping at their water bowls. Hamish felt the tension leave his shoulders. He went into his living room and lit the fire. "Oh, peace that passeth understanding," said Hamish, stretching out his long legs to the fire. Sally the poodle jumped up on the sofa on one side of him, and Lugs climbed up on the other. "Damn," muttered Hamish, "I forgot to lock up the hens." He went out to the hen house and shooed the birds in. He was about to shut the door when he saw a dim light shining at the back of the shed. He walked forward and bent down. The glow was coming from a small night light in the shape of a blue pig. He picked it up and stood up. There was a cord attached to it. He gave it an impatient tug and then suddenly jumped aside as a pot of red paint tilted its contents down into the shed. "Christine!" He shouted her name like an oath. His boots were spattered, but at least his uniform jersey and trousers had been spared. Fortunately, it turned out to be emulsion paint. If it had been gloss, he would have had to spend a long time getting rid of it in case the fumes made the birds ill. He was sure that Handy would not expect Charlie and himself to be in uniform, so back in the station he changed into an old sweater and jeans, found a warm coat and hat, and rolled up his sleeping bag. Hamish decided not to take his pets with him. He knew that once home for the night, they usually slept until morning. He reluctantly put his utility belt on again. It got heavier and heavier every year, he thought sourly, as more gadgets were added to it. He drove to the Tommel Castle Hotel, where Charlie was waiting impatiently in the courtyard. "George wanted to come with us," said Charlie. "Let's get out of here." George was Colonel Halberton Smythe, owner of the hotel. Although devoted to Charlie, he showed signs of wanting to be a sort of Poirot. He was also in competition with Hamish Macbeth, the man who had been engaged to his beautiful daughter, Priscilla, and then had broken off the engagement. He wanted to show that Hamish was nothing more than a Highland idiot with an undeserved reputation. Charlie loaded a huge hamper in the back and then joined Hamish. "What have you brought?" asked Hamish. "Handy's going to feed us." "Some things I need," said Charlie, folding his lips in a firm line. Hamish told Charlie about the red paint. "Women can get awfully petty," said Charlie. "Mind you, she didn't like those birds. Couldn't understand why you didn't put one in the oven. Nor could she understand why you didn't send your old sheep to the shambles." "I'll get around to it," said Hamish, sulkily. When they arrived at Drim, the sun was just setting behind the tall, jagged mountains that guarded the loch. Later on in the summer, it would be light all night long. The evening air smelled of wild thyme, bell heather, salt, and tar. But Hamish suddenly stiffened on Handy's